I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about SpaceX and the upcoming IPO. They're going public on June 12th, which is a Friday, at the price of $135 a share under the ticker symbol SPCX. This will be the largest IPO in history, coming at a valuation of $1.75 trillion, which is massive. When they launch on Friday, this will put them in the top 10 biggest companies in the stock market. Now, they have 3 different revenue sources. One that we all know is Starlink. And I sure wish Starlink had its own ticker symbol, but nevertheless, let's talk about Starlink. Now, Starlink is an internet service which provides customers with internet via satellite. And they've surpassed nearly 10 million subscribers, and that's more than double of what they did the previous year. Not only that, but the revenue has also shot up nearly 50%, where the 2024 revenue was at 7.7 billion, and the last year's revenue of 2025, it was at 11.4 billion. And this is the only thing that's really printing them money. And it'd be nice if Starlink had its own ticker symbol. I'd be all for it, because the other two are bleeding money. Now let's get into the rocket launches. Now, what exactly do they do with these rocket launches? Well, they essentially take products from companies such as NASA and the Department of War. They take their products and then they launch it into orbit. So in a lot of ways, this is a defensive stock as well. Now, what exactly do they do? Well, the president calls up Elon Musk and says, hey, do me a favor. I need some satellites into space so I can overlook our enemies and see exactly what they're doing, what they're planning. Not only that, but they could also provide internet for their allies. So they black out the entire region, and then they can specifically give internet access to all their allies. And communication is very essential during war. Not only that, but they also deployed Starlink satellites into orbit as well, which takes up 1/3 of their entire production. Now, the space segment is also spending a ton of money on research and development, and they're spending nearly $3 billion just last year. So they're spending money and they're investing in the future of SpaceX, which is a good thing, but they're also losing money on the back end as well. When they put out their earnings report during the first quarter, they put out that they've generated over $619 million in revenue. However, they put out a loss of $662 billion. So they're losing a lot more than they're making. And this isn't the only way that SpaceX is bleeding money. They're also bleeding money with their third revenue source, which is xAI. So this has everything to do with the data centers, with Grok, and of course, what we know is X, formerly known as Twitter. They make data centers that's full of NVIDIA chips, which are very pricey. And this part of xAI is called Colossus, pretty much where they build huge data centers throughout the nation and also throughout the world. And this is how they're really bleeding money. xAI is just a big loss. They're really investing into it, but they're also spending a lot of money on building their infrastructure. So those NVIDIA chips that I mentioned, well, you need hundreds of thousands of them per data center. And these NVIDIA chips, they're not cheap. They cost upwards of $30,000 to $40,000 per AI chip. They reported that they spent upwards of $13 billion on xAI in 2025 alone. $13 billion. That's more than Starlink and their space segment combined. But that's not it. Let's just talk about their revenue. So they put out that they've made $3.2 billion last year. However, they put out that they also lost $6.4 billion last year. So they lost double of what's coming in, which is pretty crazy. With that said, Starlink is the only breadwinner within these 3 segments. 2024 was the last time that SpaceX was actually profitable. But now that xAI merged into SpaceX, it's now bleeding money. And essentially, they're at a loss of $4.2 billion just in the first quarter. It really makes me wonder, like, are they going public because they really need retail money? Are they looking for a bailout, essentially? I don't know. This is one of the many red flags. Another red flag that I've recently have noticed, about a month ago, a lot of different brokers just came out saying that, hey, you can buy SpaceX at the IPO price, but you need to meet this criteria. For example, Fidelity came out saying that you need to have at least $500,000 in your account, not liquid, but just in your account, in order for you to buy SpaceX at the IPO price. That was about a month ago. Last week, they've drastically decreased that from $500,000 to $2,000. So now you just need $2,000 in your account, and then you can now participate in the SpaceX IPO. That's pretty crazy. Big red flag. Another red flag that I think is, about 2 weeks ago, every brokerage have now agreed that you don't need to have $25,000 in your account to day trade. You can pretty much day trade as much as you can, as long as you have, I think it is $2,000, $3,000 in your account. You can day trade as many times as you want without having restrictions. So all these things are aligning with each other for essentially the biggest hyped up IPO that anybody has ever seen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am staying far away from it. Now, it can go up 100%, 200% in the first day, in the first week even, but I'll be okay with losing out on that money. I have 3 rules that I never break because, I learned the hard way early on. Number 1, wait at least 6 months before investing into any IPO. 6 months. I do like to see price history. I do rely on support and resistance quite a bit. So don't touch any IPOs for the first 6 months. That's my rule, and I'm sticking with it no matter what. Rule number 2, only invest in companies that are profitable. And SpaceX, it's not profitable just yet. I don't know if it is in the future, but right now it's not profitable. Let me know what you're gonna do and what you think about it. But before you go, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you want to see my future videos. It doesn't take much. It makes me want to actually make more videos. Do me that favor. See you on the next video.